Welcome back to another episode of the BigAsp Cornhole podcast. Sean and Dane are with you again.
What's happening, brother?
Nothing, dude. Just another day.
Another day, another dollar.
Just got done recording a little our new show, Shuck It or
Shuck
Chuck
it
It.
or chuck it.
So
It's a work in progress.
It is,
It's a
but
work in progress.
it's flowing well. Cameron's doing a nice job, busting out some nerd notes and stuff. So I'm excited to see how that was. But Dane, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We got a busy night tonight.
That we do.
So let the folks know what we're sipping on at home in the segment we call "What You Drinking."
What you drinking?
Well, Sean, we brought him back, man. We were talking about these rave reviews before, but little Jameson,
I actually need
ginger and lime, dude, it's so refreshing. You can't say enough about it. 6%. So if you guys ever see these on your shelves, snag it. I mean, dude, it's a great refreshing drink, not overpowering. Love to sip on them. And as always, What You Drinking is brought to you by our favorite bag company in the world, Local Bags.
Sure is.
Pro Blend Resin. Hello. We say it every week. It's fantastic. We're actually reviewing one of their bags, their mid-season release today. And yeah, it's a banger. So do yourself a favor. Go to localbagcompany.com. Snag yourself a set today. And actually, I saw a code free shipping. You get your free shipping anywhere in the country. So why don't you go ahead and slap that down?
Might as well.
Heck yeah.
All right, folks. Well, this episode is primarily going to be a bag review. We have 3 bags to review today. We have the newest release, as Dane just so elegantly touched on, the Local Bag Warrior. Then we have 2 of the newest bags released by Reynolds Bag. We have the Hurricane and the Cyclone.
Yeet.
We're also going to touch on just some of the more recent ACL news here briefly, and then we're going to be joined by 2... I think ACL like kind of legends, right? Like in the content world, right?
I think quickly they've become such. Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to be joined by Bernie Nabors and Jeff McCarragher. So it's going to be, I'm excited for this interview.
Absolutely, yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I don't know if it's going to be cornhole. I don't know if it's going to be everything else, but I don't care. I'm just excited to kind of talk to them.
We're just going to let it flow.
They're just going to be an easy interview, which I'm excited for.
We got a fellow UNC fan here.
We do, yeah, Bernie. So we'll find something to talk about. So, well, before we get into all that, we're going to let you know what's going on in our cornhole lives in a segment we call In and Around the Hole.
Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
Brought to you by Airwolf Athletics, helping athletes become sexier than life itself. All right? Use code BIGASP at that end of your purchase and get yourself 10% off at airwolfathletics.com.
If you've listened to the show before, you're probably sick of me hearing me say it. So I don't know if you don't have it done yet, go to blackjackcornhole.com. It's the best logo in the game. If you're going to buy a set of bags, they might as well look fresh as hell. So go to blackjackcornhole.com. You get amazing customer service, free shipping. It's a no-brainer. And if you use code BIGASP, you're going to save yourself 10%. So go to blackjackcornhole.com and grab yours today. Again, that code is BIGASP for 10% off.
BIGASP.
So, did you throw it all? Oh, actually, we did.
We threw together. I had league on Thursday. Threw pretty well. Wasn't mad at it.
You were throwing well last night.
Yeah, we threw outside last night.
We had a bunch. We have so many bags.
But we needed to get out to test them. It was very cold, but
real cold.
We battled through for all of you.
And outside where we play on my sidewalk, one end is downhill with the wind, just slightly. I mean, not real big downhill, but just slightly downhill with the wind. The other one is slightly uphill against the wind.
Yeah.
I tend to do all by scoring one direction. You were doing it better against the wind, so it's just back and forth.
I quickly learned that I just needed to stand like 3 feet back when I was going with the wind, and it helped me out tremendously. But it's not easy throwing.
I'll admit, one of the ways we test out bags, we just play singles.
Yeah.
I was 0-3 last night. It's been a while since I've got my ass kicked like that.
Yeah, I hit some shots on you, but at the same time, our PPRs were not anything to write home about. I mean, that's how it goes with like brand new bags when you're throwing them, though. So I mean,
and once again, every match I jumped out to some decent lead, 16-5.
Yeah, you always get me early, and then I just kind of slap it on.
Yeah,
right
I just
after
could not
that.
finish it out. So, but yeah, so I was 0-3 yesterday, so I'm not feeling great about myself right now. The lessons from Derek King that we're going to be getting next weekend can't come soon enough.
Sean, you are not an outdoor thrower.
With the wind, I am.
Yeah, but I think you're just a much better indoor thrower.
I am. I'm bougie like that.
And bougie, he doesn't like the elements.
Not the cold. Not at least not the cold.
Yeah.
It was really cold. My hands were.
That's true. I mean that wind, man. It's just tough. It's hard to throw through it.
So ACL news wise, there's not a whole lot going on. They had a few conference events throughout. I saw the big one. Obviously, is arguably the best conference in the ACL right now, the Carolina Conference. Jamie Graham winning singles.
Coming into form.
Seems like he's
Did he
rounding
take
into
second
form.
in doubles too?
Yeah, I think with
him and Modlin?
yep, Frank Modlin. Derek and Josh Holland, did they win it or did they take third? Can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Can't remember. But they another solid team. So cream of the crop was kind of rising in North Carolina. The Gore brothers, I think, took fourth in doubles. But yeah, all in all, it just Jamie Graham seems to be rounding in form. I think the Northeast had I think they had their conference event. I think Jacob Trzynski won singles. I think he might have beaten. Well, actually, no. It might have been was Jimmy Humans. Yeah, it might have been Humans beating Trzynski. Yeah, I do remember seeing that. So, but yeah, all in all, just seemed like it was a pretty solid weekend. And then the other kind of big news, if you want to call it that, is Berkeley Pear. He's a local bag sponsored player. He had been playing with Jordan Langworthy. Apparently, Jordan Langworthy is no longer going to be participating in this pro season. Yeah, he's got to step away. So another ACL pro decided to drop his partner. So Berkeley Pear is actually going to be playing with Mason Morgado, a talented player from the West Coast. How do you feel about like these mid-season abandoning your partner and just saying fuck it?
I mean, it's kind of, it feels a lot like this situation we have with our Cleveland quarterbacks right now.
Yeah.
It's just strange, man. Pettiness and whatnot going back and forth. I don't know. Like I don't get how you could justify it this late in the season.
Because right now, if you made the change after the first national, okay, because then you can drop that one.
Yeah.
Because the world's wherever you finish, that's where where you finish. But now Berkeley and Mason are no longer going to be able to qualify through doubles. Now Berkeley currently is sitting at 74th in singles.
Okay,
he's
in that threshold.
If he stays there, he's going to requalify automatically through singles. But Mason's sitting at 157. He's got some work to do to qualify, and now he doesn't have the doubles to go. Now it's not like Mason previously was playing with McGuire Shepherd. It's not like they were killing it. They were ranked 115th. So they weren't off to like the best start. So it's not like they were safe. Not like
you got to be top 50 in doubles.
Okay. So it's not like they were really sitting safe. But to me, it's just like this late in the season, it's either Mason and McGuire just like weren't getting along. Like to me, it just doesn't make any sense. Like why you throw it completely like.
I mean,
limit your chances of automatically qualifying.
What's an easier jump, moving from 115th to top 50 in doubles, or he's got to move up 57 spots in singles to cross that threshold?
Probably right about the same.
They're right around the same, man. Why not double your odds? Now you're limiting yourself to just your singles performance only to be able to come back as a pro next year without having to.
And this has nothing to do with Berkeley Pear because we both think he's like
honestly,
immensely talented.
To me, like Berkeley Pear lucked out because he got a partner that maybe is up to Langworthy's level. They were throwing pretty well together.
Yeah, they were.
So, I mean, I'm happy that Berkeley got a good partner, but at the same time, it's hard not to have. It's hard not to feel. What's McGuire Shepherd gonna do?
He's gonna. I'm assuming they're gonna promote somebody from the PDC back up, and he's gonna have to just play with them. But again, he's in the same boat. He is now no longer gonna be able to requalify through doubles. So you're not even just fucking yourself, but you're fucking your previous partner.
Now here's devil's advocate real quick. The way the PDC players have been performing, should maybe Berkeley have gone like with whoever they bring up from the PDC? I think they've all been performing pretty darn well once they make that.
Like I said, Berkeley, it doesn't matter because I mean he's really now his sole focus should be singles, just making sure he qualifies against singles. Maybe they make a splash in doubles, but again, standings wise, they're gonna be too far behind to make it matter.
I just selfishly love his game, and I would love to see him maybe make it like in a doubles or something, but. That'd only have to be with Trevor Brooks. We'd love to see
next season. I think it'll be next season. All right, so let's go ahead and jump over to the bag review, which is brought to you by Bags Board.
And you feel it, and it feels like a bag of sand.
Bagsport is the maker of the original Cornhole bag backpack. I knew you were going to fucking do it right in the middle of the live read. I saw him reaching over to the button. Bagsport, maker of the original Cornhole backpack. 10,000 combinations to choose from. They make sweet-ass patches, the highest quality bags. I have 2 of them myself. Dane has, I think, 2.5 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I sold 1.5 of them. I only have one now.
Okay.
But
So, great quality stuff. You can't go wrong. So visit bagsboard.com and grab yours today. All right, well, we're obviously sponsored by Local Bags.
Got to start with them.
We got to start with them. All right, so this is the Warrior.
Let me bust up the pic for all those watching on YouTube. You can see these sexy ass bags. You want to take this one? You want me to take it?
Yeah. So okay. So this is obviously two very familiar materials, right? So you have like
100%, yeah.
a surefire type slow side paired with a Viper slick side. The difference with this bag compared to the others is the Pro Blend resin.
Yes.
Now with the Pro Blend resin, you do need to like a smaller resin. Okay, it's not universal. It's not quite as, I don't know where this. It's not quite as non-universal as some of the other blends that we've had.
I think you said it right. It feels to me like it's just two different kinds of fill as opposed to like blending the fill.
Correct. It is in general small to medium type fill. It feels nice. So I mean, it throws great. I would say that with this type of fill in this bag, you're gonna have a little bit more action when it hits the board.
Yeah,
it can hop bounce a little bit. So if you are a guy that likes a surefire, but you want something that's a little even easier to roll, this is going to be right up your alley.
Yeah, I agree.
You were cutting this bag very nicely.
I was, yeah. It was hitting nice for me.
Right out of the box, we're talking very hole forgiving.
Yes.
100%. The Viper material does not take very long to break in. The surefire type slow side is right there. All in all, great bag.
Yeah.
Like the template, it plays big on the board.
And I mean, most local bags do.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But
Great
I like
closing
it
scene.
because
Ugh.
he's got there's just enough of a corner there to make this bag very gettable.
Oh, yeah.
No matter where you leave it around the hole. So it does work very well. I like the pairing with the Viper Fast.
I agree.
It just makes this bag so melty. So it's a good combo. I think I found my new favorite local bag, honestly.
No, I am 100%.
Yeah.
Like this jumped ahead of my previous favorite was between the Legend and the Outlaw.
Yeah,
But this,
and I was
this
actually
is,
starting to like the Outlaw a lot.
Yeah, this is it's a thinner bag than the Outlaw is.
Yes.
It's somewhere between. It's definitely thicker than like a Surefire bag, right? So it's not quite as loose, but I would say it's probably similar to like if you got a Typhoon with slightly extra fill, that's kind of like the wheelhouse. But if you tend to be a fan of local bag in general, I mean the quality's there.
Yes.
I mean you're not going to have this bag break on you. I mean this is going to be around forever. This is going to be something that as it gets broken in more, I'll feel very comfortable throwing it. One of my favorite bags is like a Friction. This is basically a Friction.
Yeah.
Just a different fill.
Will you be surprised if you don't see Hissner and Henderson throw on this bag?
I think it'll
To
be
me, I
interesting
think
to
it's
see.
like perfect for their game.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
exactly
again it's
how they
going to
wanna
depend on
throw it.
board conditions. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
very true.
So
Yeah.
just a little bit, but all in all, great bag. Yeah, I guess I don't have anything else to say.
No, I mean-
speed rating. So slow side, again, pretty variable.
Yeah.
If we're calling it a flat number, let's call it like a 5.
Yeah, I would say like 4 or 5, right in that range.
Slick side is going to be that 9 range, right
Mhm.
around there. Obviously, board conditions are going to be variable, but yeah. So I think it's a very smart pairing for materials. You're not going to find a more hole friendly bag on the market than what this is right now. I think local for a mid season backdrop, they launched a banger for sure.
They launched the bag that they've been missing,
Correct.
in my opinion.
Yep.
I mean, they have a huge arsenal, and this was the one that they really needed, and they hit it home, man. It's a good bag.
Design. So we got the limited design, the
Love
warrior
it.
skull with the sweet ass cigar flames and stuff. I think it pops.
Heck yeah, camo. I mean, his print's always next level, and I just love the fact that he stretches his logo across that other side.
Yep, it's just
On
clean.
the backside, yeah, very nice looking, and clean logo. Design score for me, I'm gonna go 94.
Yeah, I'm going right 92. I was
All
right
right,
there.
yeah, I like it.
Performance wise, I threw this bag against you. I lost, but you're throwing another bag pretty similar to this, so we'll get to in a review coming up. I threw it well. I thought it came out of my hand really nice. Again, just wind was a little bit of a factor with me. It wasn't, and my boards are just so
Dude,
ridiculously
you have
fast.
the fastest freaking boards.
I do. The boards are
They're
ridiculous.
insane.
I mean,
The cold didn't help either, but still.
but again, I like the pairing with this. This is again my favorite local bag that's come out. I'm going to be working hard to break this in before the next regional because I'd feel comfortable throwing this. Yeah, I'm gonna go pretty high. I'm gonna go 88.
All right, yeah, for me, I'm gonna go flat 90 on it. I liked it that much. I'm becoming a huge fan of this like surefire-esque material,
yeah.
and with this, just his fill, his template, all in all, banger. Loved it.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. We played a few singles games yesterday. Let's go ahead to the one that you were throwing
Okay.
first. So this could be the
So
Hurricane.
we got the Hurricane. All right, so
Slow side should feel familiar.
Yeah, slow side, basically exactly the same that we were just touching.
Yep.
So that Surefire-esque material there on this beautiful Reynolds bag, paired with like, is this Pro Advantage fast
It is.
side? Okay, so
It's
paired with
Advantage
Pro
material.
Advantage, yeah. So yeah. So if you could just imagine that, you can imagine how great this bag felt in my hand.
It's like if like Pro Advantage had a baby with a Surefire. If
Yeah,
this is the bag.
and this is the bag. Yeah. I like its fullness. It's got that typical little thickness to it that Reynolds likes to throw in there. It doesn't make the bag any less hole friendly. I mean, we were throwing these fresh out of the box, and they were still dripping for me.
Before we started throwing them,
Yeah.
first thing I said, I'm like, dude, I threw these last week and I didn't like them. I didn't like them, man. And then what do we do? Get them out of the box. I think I threw like the first 12 bags in the hole. I'm like, God damn it. I didn't give it enough time, and I was kind of rushed with my kid rolling around. It broke in so fast. I mean, we just played
it's already starting to
games.
break in
I mean, they're
really
already
nice,
starting
yeah.
to get there. It's a really nice bag. It really
Yeah,
is. I mean, it's Reynolds quality. You know what you're going to get with them. And I don't understand. I just have a feeling this is going to be a really popular bag. Because if you like the Typhoon, this is a little bit fuller than a
Yeah,
Typhoon.
it's got that same slow side as the Typhoon. Just
Yeah, but then you're pairing it with Advantage material,
Yeah.
which is arguably, to me, like one of my favorite materials of all time.
to me, it's still the best slick side that I've ever been comfortable throwing.
It just handles all conditions very well.
Absolutely. That's why I've always loved it. It's tried and true. It doesn't change too much in the conditions, and yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Advantage.
So slow
material.
side, I would go again like that 5-ish type range.
Yeah.
Slick side, I'd go like a 7.
Yeah, 7. Like not too big of a variable, but
No,
enough to get it done. Now that's compared to the Warrior that we were just checking. That slick side makes it so you don't have to change your throw to knock a bag in.
correct.
With the Advantage material, yeah, you got to throw a little meaner, but it gets so slinky that
You
it
were
just
cutting
melts
this
in.
bag better than any bag I've ever seen you cut.
Yeah, I was cutting it very, very well. It's just
Again, if you're a Pro Advantage fan and you just want something, just a different material, you want just like that notch quicker.
Yeah.
And you want this is going to be in your wheelhouse. I'm telling you, it's a Pro Advantage. You're just swapping
yeah,
out
and
the
if you
slow
think
side.
if you think the Typhoon's just a little too floppy for you,
This is going to
bang,
be
this is it. It's a little bit thicker, nice feel. So we actually have these beautiful blackjack cornhole bags for
The
these.
Woodburn
The
version?
Woodburn, dude, I love these as soon as they were
Hell yeah.
released. What's your design score, Shawnee?
I really liked it. I don't know which one I like more. I think I like the Cyclone, just the white and black wood. Still like it. I'm gonna go 84.
On the wrong boards, these bags could get lost.
Correct.
But I'm gonna follow you up with an 82.
Okay.
But I still love it. I think it's unique.
I'm
and it
interested to hear
turns
what
out
your
really nice.
performance score is.
Performance for me, dude, I liked these just as much as the Warrior. Like I think I threw both of those equally as well. Dude, give me a 92 on it, man. I like them, man. They're good bags.
So I'm gonna go a little bit lower, only because I primarily threw the next one when we were playing singles.
Yeah.
You threw this one, so I don't feel like I have enough time into it. I feel like I am gonna like this bag a lot, but I'm gonna go just a notch lower than what the local was. Really, just over recency bias because I threw local yesterday. I'm gonna go 86, but again, I love Pro Advantage material. I think this is gonna be a bag that we'll keep around for a while.
Absolutely.
All right. Moving on to
Last
the
but not
last
least.
bag. It's the Cyclone. So, obviously, Reynolds forever was the king of carpet, right?
Yep.
And then in comes like this influx of different types of carpet, and then you have like this hybrid carpet material. Reynolds finally said, why fight it? Let's join the crowd. Let's just give people what they want. So they finally went with this herringbone hybrid type carpet material that's pretty familiar. It's used on several other bags, namely like the BG Wizard. They definitely use some sort of backing with this,
Yeah.
which is going to help the durability. The issue is it takes longer to break in.
But as many people complain about the Wizard, eventually those beads just start pushing through the fabric.
I will
That
say,
backing
after
will
just
keep it.
throwing one game, even
Dude,
when they were pretty stiff, they were still hole forgiving.
Very much so, yeah. You threw these bags very well.
Yeah, these bags, they slide, they move up the board very, very
It was
well.
definitely our highest PPR throwing the Reynolds against each other.
Yeah, and I really liked. So you have this. I think they're calling this the Cyclone material on. I think this. Wait, what are they calling this? Is this the Twister? I'm gonna pull this up
He's
real
gonna
fast.
pull it up.
I don't want to get this wrong terminology wise. So let's see.
He's clicking
here.
on it right now, folks. We're scrolling. We're
So you have
reading.
okay. So yeah. So the top side is the slick side is what they're calling their Cyclone material. It is. It's not super slick. I would say it's like a notch faster than like the Pro Advantage material. So I'll call it like an 8,
Yeah, I
maybe
agree.
an 8.5. Like yesterday, I was definitely playing like 8.5, 9, but my boards
Yeah.
were really fast. So I would say maybe just a notch lower than that. I feel comfortable calling this an 8. Then you have this hybrid carpet material that plays like, I don't know, like a 5
Like a
almost.
5, yeah.
I would say this bag though gets less affected by humidity, whereas that Surefire type material really tacks up big time.
Yeah. So they're two bags that don't have much difference
No.
in the speeds, but the variability between the two of them when moisture is in a factor
Oh yeah.
is like it's astronomical. Like when you come across it's kind of funny.
So yeah, so slick side again, like an 8. It's kind of reminds me a little bit of like that last year's bag that came out, like they're like that demon
Yeah, that
material,
demon
similar
material,
to
yeah.
that. But yeah, it plays like an 8.
The facet of that
Plays very
Liberty.
true. It's not you're not going to do a whole lot with it. Just it breaks down very very fast. You're going to slide this material in, so it's very very nice.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Design score.
Design score, I do like this one a bit. The dark gray looks nice, man.
This is my.
Give me a flat 82 on it.
I'm going to go a little higher than the last one. I'm going to go in 87.
All right.
Performance wise, I was surprised with how well, because actually secretly I gave you a pick of which one you wanted to throw, and I actually picked the Cyclone, or actually I wanted the Hurricane, but I got the Cyclone, threw it well. I'm gonna go 85.
All right. For me, I didn't like it quite as much as the Hurricane, but I still do like it. I familiar fabric on the bottom, so give me an 83.
All right.
All right.
Well, folks, thanks for joining us on another episode.
Got it.
That was Q the rap horn.
Yep.
Join us at Instagram and Twitter at BigAsp Cornhole.
And Facebook at BigAsp Cornhole Podcast. Thanks again to our sponsors. Visit airwolfathletics.com for the best cornhole swag in the game. Use code BigAsp, get yourself 10% off. And localbagcompany.com for the best bags in the game. Use code free shipping, get yourself free shipping.
And be sure to be on the lookout for our bonus episode this week for Shuck It or Chuck It.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Now stay tuned, as we're going to be joined by 2 ACL studs, I guess we want to call it, from the cornhole content world, Jeff McCarragher and Bernie Nabors.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
Well, as always, we hope you throw it straight, and it's nothing but 4 baggers from here on out.
Cornhole it.
Later.
This interview is brought to you by Cornhole Solutions, the greatest board maker in all the land. If you use code BIGASP, it'll get you 10% off, so please visit cornholesolutions.com if you need some boards and use code BIGASP. Save yourself some money.
Welcome back to the Big Ass Cornhole Podcast, where we are now joined by Jeff and Bernie. What's going on, guys?
Hey guys.
Thanks for having us. It's exciting.
We were just we have to just bring this up, right? We were just talking about it before we started recording. Bernie, you're presenting us with a fresh new look. If you're on YouTube, you're loving this right
You
now.
can see
So,
that beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful stash.
was this
Yeah,
pre-planned?
it is awful. Yeah, it's funny. I can grow hair pretty much everywhere on my body except the top of my head and my mustache. I just have the worst mustache in the world. So, but yeah, it was I left it as a joke and then saw how poorly the joke was taken. I'm keeping it.
Oh, absolutely.
I got to tell you, the mustache will never come in if you don't believe in it. All right? It
Yeah,
takes a little
right.
coaxing.
That's so
Yes.
true.
All
Yeah.
right? Yeah, you gotta treat it right.
Hey Bernie,
Yeah.
I too have a little new look. Look at that.
What?
Little
Look at
scruff
you
there.
Yeah. Look at
A
that.
little bit.
Are you
Not as
now? Are
much.
you allowed to
I-
keep
I
that
like
for? Are you allowed to keep that on camera? Are you got free reign for that, or you have to be clean shaven all the time?
You know what? There's really no standards for that anymore.
Okay.
So I mean, I could roll with it, but I'll probably shave before my game.
Okay.
He likes
you
to
said
keep it
you're-
clean.
And you're currently in Myrtle
Yes.
Beach, right? You're kind of wrapping up the basketball season.
Yeah, one more basketball broadcast tomorrow night in Myrtle Beach, Coastal Carolina, Fresno State for the championship of the basketball classic. which
Wow.
is, of
Wow.
course,
Yeah.
Well,
something
bragging
everyone's
rights are
calling,
on the
right?
line. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big
I mean,
deal.
you can throw out the records when Coastal Carolina. breaks.
Yeah, that's a big moment.
No, and then you said you're actually meeting your son, and you guys are driving down to New Orleans because you're a Kansas fan, right?
Yeah, so Bernie doesn't even know this because we haven't.
Are
done
you
a
going?
podcast yet. I am. I got tickets.
You are a jerk.
Yeah, I got tickets through a mutual friend who's an Auburn alum and a booster. They had 2 tickets because they thought Auburn was going, and they were ready to dump the tickets.
Do you have
So
a
we
place
got-
to stay?
Yeah, we're actually going to have to stay about an hour outside of town.
Yeah, I
By
was
the
going to
time
say, because
found
I looked
out,
into it.
there was
Yeah.
nothing. So yeah, so I'm picking up Derek Friday morning. We're
God, I
gonna
hate you.
drive. There were no flights, no flights out of Charleston. So we're gonna drive.
So I would
Breaking
say
news,
being
I love it.
like, so are you a Kansas fan like through and through? Like you love all sports from Kansas?
Is there another sport?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, I mean,
Basketball?
like, do you guys recognize other sports in Kansas, or is it strictly just basketball?
They do sponsor a football club apparently.
They do.
but,
They do. They try. They try hard.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was
but,
just to
no,
give
it's
the
pretty
reason
much-
for
it's pretty much-
cheerleaders to
it's
take
pretty-
the field.
Yeah.
Correct. Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's pretty much just basketball.
But more importantly, we can now be best friends with Bernie because
That's right. Go Heels, baby.
We got the Tar Heels going. Bernie,
Heck yeah.
what's your gut feeling telling you? Is it good
Lost.
things?
No, it's
Oh,
I mean,
come on, man.
gut feeling, honest feeling. They've
It's
got
like he doesn't believe in his mustache.
I know
You
four
gotta believe
first
in the
round
Eagles, too.
got 4 first round draft picks. The other guy's working his way into the first round. That's their 5. That's their starting 5. There's no other team in the country that's got 4 first round draft picks in their starting 5.
Hey,
Talent
sometimes
for talent.
First round draft picks can't play well together.
Yeah, well, that's what the hope is, right? The hope is you can
Absolutely.
get them deep into the second half, and then all the pressure hits, because there's no pressure on North Carolina in this game. They've exceeded expectations. There's no coach retiring at the end of the game or end of the season. There's no expectations. Just keep it close. Do what you can to force those last 6 minutes and hope the moment gets too big for Duke. But I don't know. They're so talented. Now they want revenge after Kay's last game in Cameron. It's just my gut tells me Duke wins. My heart is beating through my chest, because there'd be no greater moment for a North Carolina fan than to beat.
No, I
Duke
mean,
in the
because listen,
Final
they're
Four.
already going to have bragging rights for winning the last game. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Already. And then you go into this, and then I just can't even imagine. Like my dad might just die. He might just die a happy man. You know what I mean? Like, literally. I mean,
That could be it.
I'm worried about it. I'm sincerely worried about it.
Would that be a greater moment, winning that game, than actually winning the national championship?
Maybe.
It might be.
I
It
think
might.
would
It
be
might
that
actually
for
be.
me.
It might actually be, because let's say they win that game and play Kansas and beat Kansas. I think in history they'll be more remembered for what they did to Kay in his last season than winning that championship.
And can we
Isn't
just
that crazy?
And it's just such a gross storyline if Duke wins. Like,
Ugh.
enough.
Oh,
I mean, my
oh
God.
my
like,
God.
Thank
The-
God the guy's retiring. I mean, all we hear about, like, yes, okay, he's a decent basketball coach. Like, we get it. Like, can we just move on?
It's
from
going to
this?
be brutal. The media attention that guy's getting this weekend. Brutal.
ridiculous. So anyway, so this is a cornhole podcast. So I figure I'd bring it
Yeah.
up. Every
Oh,
once
is
in a
Well, yeah. Welcome to the Boarderline. You guys are.
But I do have to mention, while you brought it up, you guys started the Boarderline podcast. I love it. I love the fact that it's like a variety hour. I love and I love your guys' stories. I mean, you guys have some,
I love listening.
yeah, dude,
to
you
it,
guys
honestly.
have some killer stories. How did you guys find each other, at least for the podcast? Like, I know Jeff, you had talked about, like, that Stacy had mentioned, something doing, and was this just a partnership, like a forced marriage, or had you guys talked about it before?
It was absolutely a force. I mean,
Absolutely.
no, I love Bernie, and no, I mean you're right. I mean, the reason why we started it was because I was getting all these great stories from all the players behind the scenes, and it seemed like we weren't having enough time on the broadcast to tell these stories. So we figured we would start a podcast, and this conversation happened probably about a year and a half ago. So we figured we'd start a podcast and to bring on the players and talk about their stories. Well, all of a sudden, 100 podcasts popped up, and that's what everyone's doing. And Stacy really wanted to get Bernie involved in a podcast somehow because his personality is so good. And it's true. Bernie's personality just kind of fits being a podcast host.
It's all heart, man.
And he has like the
it's
perfect
true.
facial hair for a podcast.
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just great.
It's-
I mean, it's just
Absolutely. This is on
Rolling it.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So
This is turning out when it grows out, guys. This is going to be a little curly.
I like it. There you go.
But yeah, so I mean, but it's true. I mean, his personality is perfect for a podcast. And so Stacy and I were talking about it and talked to Bernie about it, talked to me about it. We were all on board. Took a while to get it started, but finally we did. And man, we don't know what we're doing.
I was
We
just
don't-
gonna ask, did you
we don't
think going into
really-
it, because you guys are both like kind of like veterans on the mic, right? Obviously, you guys do commentary all the time. Going into this, did you think like, oh, it's a podcast, how hard could it be? Like, is it harder than you thought it was going to be?
No, I mean, I'll answer first, Bernie. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty easy. I mean, just because we know each other so well, and obviously we both can talk. We both have a lot to say. We're both the same age.
Yeah.
Shared experiences, shared backgrounds, shared depth of our personalities, shared triumphs, shared miseries. I mean, we have lots to talk about. So no, it's pretty easy. And again, really the easiest thing to do would be to just bring a player on every week.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right away we figured out literally everyone's doing that. So we figured we'd just start talking about other things. And again, we've only done like 20, 21 episodes. So we still, I mean, really, we don't know what direction we're going, what we're doing, but we're just going to try and have fun and see what happens.
Yeah, to piggyback on what Jeff was saying, when Stacy kind of said, you guys should do this, and I was like on board because I mean Jeff's a professional, and it's very easy to work with, and Jeff does more. Jeff's the one that kind of puts it all together, and I just get on and talk about random stuff for like half an hour, and Jeff reels me back in. But no, to Jeff's point though, there are so many, well, not so many, but there's enough cornhole podcasts out there run by players or people that are genuinely involved in the sport through playing, what have you. They have more of a knowledge of the game than we do. I mean, we know the game from an announcing level. We don't know the ins and outs. So for us to talk about the nitty gritty of cornhole doesn't make as much sense as it does for you guys, as it does for, I won't talk about other podcasts, but for other folks.
We know what we're talking about.
I know.
Yeah, well, but I mean, but in all honesty, Jeff and I, and in Jeff's background, there's so much to talk about, and you combined my willingness to say stupid stuff, and we could literally talk for hours and hours about everything. So it's been a lot of fun for me because, back to your question, it's not hard in the sense that you get on, you talk with someone someone you like, it makes it very easy to do.
Our secret, the reason we do this is because that gets me out of the house, away from my wife and 2 kids, one night a week where I know I get to drink some. So the secret's out. So hopefully she doesn't listen to this part. If she is listening, solid. Happy birthday. I love you. So,
I mean, as great of a connection as you two.
Happy birthday. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So we're brothers. So we have a lifetime of shared experiences. And yeah, it's not hard to talk to you. I don't know. No. We've never ran into that problem yet.
No,
someday soon.
So,
all right.
Okay, so you guys,
let me ask you guys a question. Sorry to interrupt.
Please.
As brothers, you guys obviously get along pretty well. Right?
We do.
Did you have those years growing up where you were just fights all the time, or did you guys always get along well?
Yeah, yes, we fought, but we were always best friends.
Yeah, we're Cleveland. Like so,
kind of best friends.
Exactly. Like
I think there might have been
had butted heads and whatnot. Like because we're polar opposites. Like he is type A, 100%, like very organized, focused. Like I am the most laid back person in the world. So like we've definitely butted heads in that aspect. But like when it comes down to it, like I mean, we fist fought and then shared beers and had fun 5 minutes later. I mean, it's brothers are exactly.
I mean, I think we got closer. We were close growing up, and then in high school, maybe there was a 3-year gap. You know what I mean? Like I was a senior, he's a sophomore. Please get away from me, kind of thing. But then he ended up going to the same college I went to grad school with, so we lived together, and now we live a half a block away from each other in the same neighborhood. Awesome. So it's fun. I mean, it's cool. It makes it easy. Really, we started this. It sounds terrible. Like we kind of started this as a joke.
I wouldn't say a joke. It was a practice.
It was I always wanted to do a podcast, but I wanted to do something professionally. But I'm like, I don't want to start something fresh. I have no experience. Let's something else. He's like, well, we're playing cornhole in this league. Why don't we talk about that? No one else seems to be talking about it. So 2 years ago, we started recording, and then 2 years later, we're 130
kept listening.
Episodes.
Cheers! That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Fun. Yeah, congratulations.
First of all, before we get any further, Jeff, I know you tweeted me before that you had poured yourself a beer. Okay, so one of our favorite things, and I know we're that beer drinking podcast or whatever too, but like, what are you drinking tonight? What are you enjoying?
Tonight's easy. I had such a long day and a big day tomorrow. Just Mick Ultra tonight. But normally I'm a vodka soda guy.
Are you okay? We are actually tonight. We're actually doing. I don't know if you can see this or not. Jameson. Yeah. Jameson came out with their own little mixed drink in a can. So it's Jameson and ginger and lime. 6%. Easily
Dude,
drinkable.
it's delightful.
Oh, it's so good.
It's like,
God, it looks delicious.
Yeah.
Oh,
Meanwhile, I'm drinking Gatorade.
So
There
hey,
you go.
listen. We need to work about your health until after the game, okay? And
Yeah.
then you can go crazy after the game. We'll go from there. So you said you guys started the podcast originally because you had so many player stories. Is there anyone's story that comes to mind that you're like, I've talked to and like you just found them like just fascinating, either their story or just their personality? Like, who are some people that you guys have talked to in the league?
I'll let Jeff start this. He has all the stories. He does all the background research.
I was going to say, I mean, everyone's probably heard the stories by now, but in the beginning when this started, Jay Rubin's story just tore me up.
Yeah.
You know, supposed to be in the car that day that, you know, his grandmother and his aunt, I think it was, were hit head on. I mean, he was supposed to be in that car. I mean, he shouldn't be here. And that, and his story, I mean, that's tragic enough, but how that has continued to affect him and all of his moves in life moving forward has really, I mean, it's a really deep story, and it's similar to what happened with Bernie and I in an episode recently. We started talking about Bernie's dad, and Bernie's dad was murdered when he was 8 or 9 years old. And even though he was, you know, a youngster at the time, it has continued to live with him year after year after year. So I mean, that story of Jay Rubin is not dissimilar, and you know, the fact that it still stays with him today is really powerful. So I mean, that's one. Stephen Bernisset's story of getting in an accident, breaking his neck.
Yep.
And the doctors told him that he'd never play football again. Football was his passion. They told him he'd never play a contact sport again. And that's how he found cornhole. So that's a great inspirational story. And then you get someone like Maya Cup, you know, on the total flip side, because we have a lot of athletes, right? As you guys well know, who are now cornhole players. But then you get someone like a Maya Cup, who, you know, is from the Philippines. She literally worked on a farm. Really, I mean, no, you know, touch with the outside world whatsoever. No sports in her background whatsoever. And she meets Donald, who's playing cornhole, and she loves it. I mean, cornhole is the first sport that she's ever played. And then Yeti Irwan's a scientist, right? Scientist left her job, and now she's playing cornhole. Sarah Cassidy, a Taco Bell manager. Dangerous Dan, Danny Seals. I mean, he was in a motorcycle accident. He should have died. He if he was on this podcast right now, he would tell you, I should be dead. I mean, there's just so many. Those are just a few off the top of my head, but there are so many. And that's what this sport is, you know, from the very beginning. I said to myself, you know, why do my kids watch American Idol? You know, they can all sing. All the cornhole players can play cornhole. What's going to separate this sport and take us to another level on the national side is the stories. So that's what we're trying to do on the broadcast. The problem is that sometimes the games are so good.
Correct.
Damn it, Trey Ryder is so freaking good.
He is.
Yes,
he is.
You know, I can't stop him. I really can't. And I mean that with you know 100% respect, because literally when he's talking, he's doing his telestrator stuff. It's gold. And I can't.
So whoever, as soon as you lost, as soon as you put the marker in his hand. I mean, now you're screwed. Like you're just along for the ride.
I cannot cut that off. So a lot of times I just have to let him go. And so, you know, sometimes it'll be stories, but you know, these stories are, in the end are what's going to separate and make people watch. Again, American Idol, they can all sing, but we love to watch, you know, our families love to watch for the stories of triumph, the stories of tragedy. And we've got the same thing. We just need to get them out.
Yeah. To pick on that, I mean, Eric Anderson's story is one that I find very heart-wrenching. But speaking of Trey Ryder's story to me is very interesting and doesn't get talked about maybe ever. I don't know if anyone's ever spoken about how Trey got his start. You know, Trey's an engineer. Trey graduates first in his class, I believe was it biochemical engineering or something like that out of Clemson.
Yep.
Working as an engineer. He's making six figures, not to tell his story too much, but as an early to mid 20 person. He watches, I believe, some of the first digital broadcasts back in 2017, I believe, 2016, 2017. Talks to his dad, who was a pro, and it's like, you know, I think I can do that better. Puts together a small tape, sends it into Stacy, and boom, Trey Ryder becomes Trey Ryder. I mean,
and now he's making millions, and I mean, living in fame and glory.
Yeah, if he is.
And now he's making tens of thousands.
Yeah, right. Now he's making tens of thousands of dollars.
The one thing I think that cornhole is great, and one of the reasons I think we liked it so much when we first started because most of the people it's just relatable. You know what I mean? I think there's something endearing about the sport is that when you go to an event and you go to like a local regional or a tournament, you play against a pro and you realize like they're just normal people. I mean, most athletes are, but like the fact that we have such close access to them and you get to know them so personally, especially regionally. I think that's one of the coolest parts of the sport and why it's growing so fast. And when you go to an event in general, the cornhole community is a pretty awesome group of people. I mean, I don't know how involved you guys are playing or how you've been to local tournaments, but in general, the cornhole community is pretty awesome, like charity wise and giving out and just like you're rarely are gonna have a bad time if you go to an event.
Let me ask you guys a question,
Please.
Because as money comes into the sport and it's going to start getting larger and larger, at least over the next few years, somebody's going to be that person that just becomes kind of a star overnight, right? And do they become kind of that jerk?
I hope not.
You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden they're making so much money, they're on TV shows and this and that, and all of a sudden they kind of become, they think of themselves as elevated from the rest of us. And who is it going to be? Do you think? Yeah, put you on the spot.
I would hope. First of all, are they going to be able to sustain being on top? Because with how we've already seen from this year, from last year, this rookie class, every crop of individuals, whether it's 100 or 20 people coming in every year, there's always going to be new talent. I mean, we saw a jump from last year. The pro PPR was like 8.72. This year, it's like above a 9.
Yeah,
huge gap statistically. So, are they going to be able to stay on top? And if they are, could they get big head? I think we see it in every sport. I think
that's what I mean.
It's human nature. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
If I had to say it'd have to be someone I would think younger.
Yeah,
I would definitely put somebody younger in there.
I mean, listen, I don't know this kid at all, just because I think he's bursting onto the scene. I think he's got great personality. I think he's great for TV. Someone like maybe either like a Jacob Trzynski or like a Jordan Power, like they have like that flair, that flash that I feel like could draw some people in a little bit. Like Jacob Trzynski is taking, top, like posting his top of himself all over Instagram and flexing. He's good looking younger dude. You know what I mean? Like he's an athlete.
I like that call.
So I think maybe that if I had to answer that, I guess I would go with Jacob.
See, you notice McCarragher staying away from this. He'll never saying anything controversial.
That's not true. You haven't been behind the scenes with conversations with my family lately.
I mean, honestly, for me,
I was gonna say the same thing about Jacob Trzynski. I mean, when he walked off the court after a win in Atlantic City on one of the side courts, and he was not the favorite, right? I mean, people were outwardly rooting against him. And after he hit the game winner, he walked away. He was obviously frustrated. He's like, "Now I'm the bad guy, huh? I'm the bad guy. I guess I'm the bad guy." So maybe he could be that guy. I hope he's not, because he's a terrific guy. I've really enjoyed. I mean, just the short time that I've spent with him, he is absolutely just awesome for the sport, and I love his passion. And I love his background. He's got a great story too about being an athlete. I mean, he really had some anger issues that he used football to get that anger out. And now cornhole has taken over his life. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe, again, Bernie, to your point, the bad thing is, and I'm sure, I mean, we've all seen this now in sports. The bad thing is sometimes that life chooses you. And I think that's what Jacob's point was. He's like, I'm the bad guy. Like, what? Wait a second. Now I'm the bad guy. Sometimes you don't get to pick.
It's true.
I'm not saying that it happened because I love him and he's from our area. I mean, look at these group of guys that are hanging out with the SWAT cornhole people. You know what I mean? Living that Hollywood life. Trey Birchfield.
Yeah, that was actually who I was going to bring up.
I mean, top player in the world.
We went from seeing Trey Birchfield around our area to like, very quiet kid. I mean, he's still very quiet no matter what you do, but he went from being like a humble, like not wearing a jersey and just coming in t-shirt and jeans and rocking it to like showing up, rocking a sick ass gold jersey with a huge freaking chain and all this stuff.
Every time I see him, I make fun of his chain.
Walking around with a different swag. And it's like, I know he's young, but at the same time, I just want to like tell him like, just don't be that guy.
Correct.
Don't be that guy, because like I could see it happening, but luckily, I mean, the few conversations I've had with him, he seems to stay pretty humble, but just, I mean, even the facade is all you need sometimes if you're in the spotlight. If you're just showing as that, people will take it the wrong way.
So let me ask you guys a question. How far are we away from, in your mind, like just see, obviously the growth in the sport's been faster, I think, than a lot of us would have expected. So we're starting to see, 6-figure sponsorship contracts, stuff like that. How far away do you guys feel is, like, let's say the top 100 pros are playing cornhole for a living?
It's a really good question. The top 100?
Yeah, let's say, just as a round
I
number.
mean, no. I mean, if we're using 100 as the number, 5 years.
Okay, I think that's realistic.
I would say it'd be a little quicker.
Yeah.
If you go 50 down to 30 down to, because you're already seeing what the top 10 to 20, like you said, with the bag contracts, some of the other money that's out there. You've already got guys that are especially the younger kids, right? If you're 18, 19, 20, 21 years of age, $50,000 a year is pretty good. And they're already kind of making that playing cornhole. So, as that kind of grows incrementally, I think 5 years is the right answer, but I could be wrong. But I think 5 years.
And I mean making, like, well, in quotes, a comfortable living. So, like, to me, it'd be like making 60 grand a year. You know what I mean? Where can you be a middle class American playing cornhole? You know what I mean? I feel like that would be. I think it'd be pretty cool. But
I mean, down to the level where the top 100, I would think 5 years is realistic.
Now, here's an honest question too. Do you think bag sponsors will maintain being the biggest sponsorship for players moving forward? Because to me, I don't see any way that the top 100 players can make a living off of a bag sponsor being their top money get, unless we start seeing more outside.
All right, I think
people coming into the game.
See, now what I'm going to say is the reason why I'm the most hated man in cornhole.
Please.
One of the reasons that we're not getting that,
I think we compete for that, by the way. But
players don't have the responsibility and understanding what it takes to get those kind of deals done.
Correct.
Yes.
You can't be you can't be the types of people that a lot of our players are on social media. You have to have a presence about you. You have to be able to handle interviews. Until that happens, they're not going to throw money at it. Like, these brands have put decades into developing themselves. They're not going to put their name and money behind somebody that's just going to act like a jackass. Unless that jackass is an NFL star or an NBA star, one of the biggest stars on the planet. Once you get to that point, you are kind of allowed to be eccentric, right? What's the old saying that someone with money is eccentric, somebody poor is called crazy.
Yep, absolutely.
I agree.
Right.
I mean, I've literally been working on an article for more than a year, and I keep tweaking it. And it's all about, in order for cornhole to grow, the players have to grow as well professionally. Like, and it's more about, like, you can have a social media presence, but it can't just be like, I hate the posts, like those recap posts. You guys are friends with enough cornhole players on Facebook. Inevitably, after a major, that next week, all you're seeing flooded is, hey, I did okay, 15th and, singles, whatever. And I want to thank my sponsors. I don't give a shit.
Well, that they have to see. Now, that's something they'll have to do, though. That's something they have to do. What I'm talking about is going on.
Why do they all
look
use
at me
the same
getting all
template?
hammered last Saturday, and I'm, smoking this. And it's like, look, man, no one's putting money behind you if you're doing it. No one.
That's a different side. But, like, I agree with Sean. Like, have a little creativity with your posts.
It looks like you're putting in a little bit of work.
Like, it's the same format for everything.
No, I get you. That's true.
Yeah, and really the next level of social media sponsorship is product placement. And again, to your guys' point, instead of just a picture of themselves with the bag, or just a picture of themselves with whatever they won in just that generic post, yes, it's going to have to be more intense with more product placement. Coca-Cola, Target.
Yeah,
Kellogg's,
you should have a little banner
Campbell's
printed up
soup.
with all your sponsors.
And there are a few of them, and there are a few that are doing it well.
But it needs to even be like weekly, like behind the scenes, them eating a bowl of Campbell's soup, drinking a Coca-Cola.
Yep,
exactly. Driving, getting in their Ford Mustang, whatever. I mean, this is what really needs to get more creative and grow. But again, to Bernie's point, this all takes a lot of thought. This takes a lot of work.
It takes acumen. It takes a certain acumen to know how to do those things, because the ACL can't approach companies and say, hey, sponsor this, and they can. But there's 256 pros. It's not going to work that well. The pros have to understand how to do that themselves. Now, look, bigger sports, they have agents. Agents handle all that. So they do have it much easier. But to get to that point, our players are going to have to understand how to knock on those doors for marketing agencies and companies and get it done. And it's not easy. And you need a little bit of sophistication in that. So that's something.
Do you think it's important for players now to get some sort of management help in that?
Yeah.
I completely agree. I've been on a hill forever saying, like, pleading with people. Like, there's management groups available out there. Like, you just go and, I mean, let them do the work for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let them help you. Like, let them try to grow. You know what I mean? Like, be smart, obviously, and you know who you're signing with, but you know, management groups are out there for a reason. Like, this is what they do for a living. Like, let them help you. And I think that in order for us to see this continued exponential growth, I mean, there's going to be someone like a player like, let's say, Ryan Smith, right? Arguably one of the more marketable individuals in the ACL, right?
Absolutely.
Could he independently go get a Nike deal? Maybe not him, but maybe if he had a management group, or they know somebody or somebody, you know what I mean? Like, it's not until we land a big contract like that I feel like that it's going to open up the floodgates, because somebody's going to have to take a chance first.
Yeah. And the companies have to take that risk. And right now, when they look at the players as a whole, once again, amazing human beings, a lot of fun to be around, but they're not seeing marketable outside of their play. Right. And so you have to make yourself marketable.
I agree. He's got to make a work phone call, so he's gonna step out for me. But
yeah.
I'm holding out
See
for it.
what
I like to
happens?
talk. I like to talk to anyways. So, no, I think it's an interesting conversation, because obviously the sport's growing so fast, and I feel like these are the things that when you're in it and maybe you don't see it, but just from the outside looking in, maybe it's a little easier for all of us to kind of nitpick them and what they should and shouldn't do.
True. It's true. But I mean, I hear it. I hear conversations that happen in the office when I'm in from time to time. And I think the players would be surprised at how they're being viewed, because I think one of the problems is we all watch sports and other athletes do certain things on television, and they're I think sometimes our players are thinking of themselves in those terms. They're not there yet. You have to be more than an NFL player is. You have to be more than an NBA player is. You have to be more than a Major League Baseball player is, because they have an entire machine dedicated to
the
getting
groundwork.
them money.
The foundation was already laid for them. They have to build their own foundation.
They just have to show up, and they can be weird, and all that works. Going to have to work twice as hard and knock on twice as many doors and do a lot of the due diligence themselves. And it's hard if you don't have any background in it, and if you don't have any education in it. It's very hard. So it's and the ACL is going to have to help. The ACL is going to have to see what they can, we can do as far as, getting assistance for those types of emails, phone calls, so on and so forth. But it's a work in progress.
It's a little as like Jeff, last national, you guys, I mean, this is the nicest way possible, because I'm sure he's a really good kid. He's a really good kid. The last national, you guys had to interview after the singles win, Creek Killer. He's a nice kid, but that's got to be like pulling teeth a little bit, right? Like, how do you handle that on the fly? You know what I mean, doing that, because it was rough to listen to, and I know you guys were doing the best you could, but he was not giving you a lot to work with. Is that something like, you're obviously a seasoned vet, so you're used to it now, but like, do you panic a little bit when you have to deal with people who maybe don't have as much training as what you're used to?
Sorry, I cut out there for
you're
just a
fine.
second. I don't know if that was directed towards me or not, but
It was.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I mean, again, to kind of stay in theme with what Bernie's talking about, and this may sound kind of harsh, but the old saying, you can only take the deer to the water. You can't force them to drink it. I mean, we can put them on camera. We can ask them questions. If they're a dud, if they're a flop, I'm sorry, it's on them. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what level it is. It doesn't matter whether it's Lisa Salter is asking questions, whether it's Joe Buck and Troy Aikman asking a player questions. If they're a dud, they're a dud. I mean, there's only so much you can do. I mean, yeah, when I was younger as a broadcaster and I would something like that would happen, yes, I would totally panic. But now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, listen, this is your chance. And if you're not going to take advantage of it, if I'm going to ask you questions and an engaging question and try to get you to talk, I mean, you can't. It's our responsibility to make sure we're not asking yes or no questions.
Yeah.
But by this point, we've been doing it so long. I think we, Trey and I can ask, and Bernie and everybody else can ask, questions that would engage a conversation. And if they don't want to do it, or they're nervous, or whatever happens, that's on them. They've got to get better. They've got to get comfortable in these situations, and I think they are. I mean, the interviews, I feel like, I don't know what you think, Bernie, but I do feel like. Do we have a flop every once in a while? Yeah. But
and that's the only reason I brought him up, because that's been the first flop in a while, I feel like.
I think they're getting better and better and better. I mean, really, each one of them is getting better. and many of them want to get better, which is great, and that's one of the reasons why we've started kind of this pro series of trying to get better with interviews and but they've got to practice, they got to get better. But yeah, so I mean, I don't put that pressure on myself. I just try to think of I try to think of a good question that everyone who's watching wants to hear the answer to, and if they don't answer it, then we'll just have to move on.
I mean, it's almost like a job
That's right.
interview.
I know it
It
sounds
is.
harsh, I know, but
I mean, that's
it's
the
true.
way I look
I
at
can
it.
only do
People,
so much. Yeah.
my wife was interviewing for a job and she's like, I'm really nervous. And I told her, I'm like, listen, I tend to interview well because that's the one chance I get to talk about myself when no one's going to judge. Like they want me to brag about myself. I can talk about myself
Might
all
as well
day.
do it.
Bernie's nodding his
Absolutely.
head. I mean, right? I mean, that's your one chance to make yourself look as great as possible. I feel like if they looked at it that way, maybe they wouldn't be so nervous. I get it. Like young kid, lights in your face, your first time, I get it. But it's just something that I'm hoping the ACL is working towards. Maybe Bernie, you can answer that too. Like, are there steps in place where the ACL offers some sort of like personal marketing training of some
Yeah,
sort?
I don't know how far we can go monetarily with that,
Yeah.
but I mean, Jeff, you've been privy to some of those Facebook calls where you're trying to get the entire pro division on and discuss certain things within the division. I hope we can get to a point from a monetary position to where maybe at the beginning of the first national every year, like the NBA does when they bring all the rookies in and they sit down and they go through, and it's like class, right? It's boring, but you have to pay attention to these kind of things because the difference between one person making X number, which is really high, and the next person making Y number, which is really low, even though they're winning the same amount of tournaments, is how they come across. I mean, if you want to think of it in tennis terms, and yes, she was gorgeous, but Anna Kournikova only won 10 tournaments her entire career,
Damn, was
never
she
won a
marketable.
major, and just got surpassed within the last year as the highest moneymaker ever in women's tennis. So think about that. Didn't win much at all, but she knew how to put.
Wasn't
I
she
think
in
there's-
Playboy?
I don't
Did
know.
she
I think
use-
there's a chance we've all thought about that.
Yeah, but I mean, she used her innate talents and skill to make money. Now, does that mean we need our girls, doing, bathing suit modeling? No, but I mean, do we need our professionals when asked questions to come across like they care about the question? That's the one knock that I see. Yeah, it's hard because it's not innate for everyone to be able to talk. But sometimes they look as if they're completely disinterested in what's been asked.
Correct.
And that's not a good look. Because
Well, right now it's cool not to care though.
That's very true.
With the young
I mean,
crowd.
it's cool not to care in high school.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
We're not in high school anymore.
Unfortunately, a lot of the best players in the world are.
Yeah, some of
they're
them
in
are.
high school,
I mean, they're going to have to. But I mean, I think that you
But
just
are
have
they-
to get
but
past it.
I don't mean to interrupt though, but
No,
is
go
it
ahead.
really, guys? I mean, is it really that they don't care, or are they just insecure? I'm
Both.
Well,
sure
I
there's
think,
anyone-
I think it's
I'm not-
insecure,
I'm
100%.
not
It's
sure
a
there's anyone who
defense
just, like-
mechanism.
Like when
Sure.
they get when they get a chance to be on ESPN or CBS, I don't think they're not caring. I just think
No.
I think that they just freeze, and I think they're just insecure. They just
No.
I mean, it's really no different. I'm a closet NASCAR fan, right? So I see it all the time.
Mhm.
You can tell the drivers whose dads were drivers and who are interested in, I shouldn't say interested, but used to being around the media, right? And then you can tell the drivers, the rookie drivers who haven't grown up with that, and they freeze when they're on camera.
Yeah.
What happened today? What happened going into turn 4? I don't know. I just got lucky, I guess. Whereas if you ask a seasoned guy, man, he was trying to take me out, and I told this guy this, and I came back to get him, and I mean, they were talking about the strategy and what they did. I mean, it's just two totally different interviews just because of their experience, and we just need to get our players with more experience. So I mean, so maybe something that we can do. And this is a conversation that Trey and I think I've talked about a little bit in the past, is maybe doing more interviews on the side courts.
Yeah.
When the side court's done, bring the winner out real quick and just ask a couple questions, let them go. I mean, just something even the minor leagues, baseball players, right? I was a minor league baseball announcer for 10 years. And I feel like I got a lot of the guys in the minor leagues prepped to go to the major leagues because I would ask them the same questions every day. Win or lose, I would ask them tough questions. We would talk about their background, and we kind of prepared them for when they got to the major leagues. So maybe there's something we can do, or the ACL can do as a whole, and using their platform to help with these situations.
As a content thing, I think that's the one thing I've said in the past that I feel like the ATL is missing at like the big events, is having some sort of like a live time, like some sort of like a beat writer. You know what I mean? Like we're after a match, you're going to get a quick quote from somebody and you're posting it on
Great
Twitter
point.
or you're doing a camera interview. I think like those quick interactions are similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah,
That I think
great
will
point.
help people get kind of comfortable. I think that is the one key thing that the ACL is missing, that hopefully for next season, we'll see that incorporated in some way.
no, that's a great idea. And to piggyback on what Jeff said, you know, like to me, I don't understand why the players, you're being asked about things. Walk us through the match. I guarantee you, every one of those guys and girls know every bag they threw in a match.
Yeah.
Walk us through it. Just
Well,
walk. I mean, walk us
They
through
only
it.
remember the
It's that
bags they
simple.
miss.
Yeah, I mean, they know it. I know they know it. Just walk us through what happened. That would be easy to do, it seems to me.
I think the
But-
ACL really struck gold early on when it was just getting on ESPN, starting to get a little bit of traction. That
Yeah.
one of the best players just happened to be, to me, one of the best interviews we've ever done is Cody Henderson.
Absolutely.
Like to me, he's like a marketing gold child. Like he's a little quirky looking, you know what I mean? He looks like an average dude that like maybe was pushed into lockers in high school, but like he's amazing at cornhole, but he's really well spoken and he's interesting. And I just think they struck gold. And I think that we're hoping that the next person is gonna be there.
Yeah.
I love Trey Birchfield to death. It's just not him. It's just not his
Yeah.
personality. But could a Jacob Trzynski, somebody like that, is he going to be the next marketing child? It could be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Are we going to see somebody like Bella? Is she going to be the darling of the ACL? She could. You know what I mean? That's why I'm just kind of waiting to see who that next person is going to be. It's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. To your point, I mean, we caught a lot of flack because we used Cody so much, right? So as all these other players were coming in and moving up the rankings past him a little bit, we were still using him for PR work and interviews. And it wasn't because he was the best player in the world, even though he was one of them. It's because he could handle himself.
Yep.
You have to put your best foot forward or everything goes down. And so we had to use Cody because we couldn't think of anyone else that we could put on camera.
Hey, Bernie, Bernie, I feel the same way early on when I first started about Matt Sorrells.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I mean, Matt, Matt is a guy who hasn't won in a while, right? But
Right.
he always did a great job, at least early on when I came into the game,
Yeah.
of being that face of somebody who could talk about the sport.
Yeah.
And was very engaging.
Yeah. Oh, I agree 100%. You know, it's funny. The NASCAR thing gets brought up a lot behind the scenes because if you were to go back in the 60s and 70s before NASCAR got really big as a television sport and do it and listen to some of those interviews with some of those drivers,
Yeah.
you know, David Pearson couldn't talk as well as the four of us. I mean, couldn't say one sentence put together, but was one of the best drivers. And then all of a sudden you noticed as they got into the 80s, then the 90s, and then the 2000s, how well each and every young driver could speak. And it was just so, you know, your Jeff Gordons, your Jimmy Johnsons, all those guys, you could tell it was a new era and you could tell NASCAR had put work into it.
Well, and
So-
again, I think that goes to being behind the scenes, right? Because guys like Jeff Gordon grew up having to do interviews.
Yeah.
You know, they grew up having to come up basically through the minor leagues of racing and
Yeah.
answering those questions, talking to reporters, talking to broadcasters. They got a lot of practice. And
Speaking
that's
of
just
Jeff
what we
Gordon,
need- and
I
that's
think
just what
my
we need our,
I think my mustache kind of looks like his old mustache a little bit.
A little bit.
I think it just actually got thicker as we're talking about the NASCAR.
And
It's
just yeah.
weird,
So now I think you guys have to just start up in the interviews with the PDC. You know, just really hammer those guys the whole time that they're playing. Maybe like live interviews during the game.
Yeah.
They'll be quick,
Yeah.
quick.
hey, that's
quick
what
studies
they're
of that.
doing in the
So you got a
NCAA
chance
tournament
here
right
for an airmail to win this match. I mean, are you thinking about that? Are
You're
you
gonna
thinking about
shoot it?
boarding it? Yeah.
So one of the things that we've started to like kind of get into, we do all the Cleveland Cornhole regionals, and we've done a little commentary on the live stream stuff. You guys are both two of my favorite people to listen on the commentary, not just for us, but maybe for people who are listening. They're also interested in getting into like that realm. Do you have any advice on like tips to improve and like or things that you kind of heard or learned along the way to kind of make it a more enjoyable experience for listeners?
This is definitely Jeff. Jeff has decades of experience.
I would say don't do it. Get a job, make some real money, provide for your family. Just don't do it.
Now, what if it's your side hustle?
I feel like my
have it
wife
be-
was
yeah,
just
just
in the
have it
room.
be a hobby. have it be a hobby because it does not pay.
Basically, he's saying have it be a hobby because he's got it locked down.
Yeah.
No one's
Yeah.
taking it.
Right. Yeah. No, please let me be the one who makes no money. Honestly, you don't want to feel my pain. Trust me.
We appreciate you falling on that sword.
It's kind of like having a podcast. It's weird.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
They're very
Yeah,
similar.
yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah.
It's like I see we have money coming in, but then there's nothing at the end.
Yeah.
All right.
You're right. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the biggest thing is I guess that they teach you when you're a young broadcaster is to be conversational. You know, I mean, that's the biggest word that I heard over and over and over. Be conversational, smile while you're doing it, and be a really good listener. I felt like, and I feel like this is where our generation and our society is really failing, and me included. I feel like I was a much better listener 20 years ago than I am now. I mean, I feel like we all have so many distractions. Life goes so fast. But two of the biggest things with being a journalist is being conversational and being a good listener. Because when you're not just a good listener, when you're a great listener, you'll be able to ask questions, be able to get things out of people, be able to follow up. I mean, it's critical.
I mean, I got to ask you guys because it's something that happens to myself when I do commentary. Do you ever feel yourself being like hypnotized when it's just like bag for bag?
Yeah.
Like I find myself like next thing I know, like 3 rounds passed and I didn't say a word.
Well, it's funny. You can get caught watching,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if you guys have listened to me at all, you know that I'm
There's
down
not a
the
lot of
road.
dead
So
air.
I'm way down. Like if I start to get a smidgen of boredom, I start talking about everything under the sun. And that I always feel bad for anyone that has to call a game with me.
Well, I actually like when you were. I think you were in Cat, right?
Mhm.
Or those last one. I actually thought it was kind of. I'm more of a. I'm watching it anyways. I don't need you to tell me that the bag went in the hole. Like I can see it,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Now, when it goes down, when it gets down later in the match, it's there's some big shots you want to focus on it. Completely
Yeah.
fine. I like building that beginning of the boring match time with like some other stuff. So when we've
Right.
commentated before, we've brought on guests or talking, and I it's my fault. I read the comments when they're coming in, and there's been people that
I
are
never
comment
read
will be
the
like,
comments.
like stop it, like if you want to interview and bring them on your podcast, stuff like that. I'm like, well, like what do you want me to say? Like you can see that the bag's going in the hole. Like do I
Yeah.
need to? So like I've learned that like I need to take I guess the negative criticism and like not dwell on it as much, but something that we're
Yeah.
like interested in getting into, and we've been getting better on it. It's just it's hard. Like it's way harder than people would think. Like everyone thinks they can do it until you sit down on the mic, and then it is. So I have a great appreciation for what you guys do.
I will defend your listeners a little bit. You do have to know your audience.
It's true.
You know, you have to know time and place. And you're right. When you're commentating, it's like when I'm doing a baseball game. Again, I did minor league baseball for 10 years. And yes, we would tell stories, but at the end of the day, someone's listening to me because of what? They want to hear the score. And that's one of the biggest things that older broadcasters always told me. Matter of fact, I think it was Bob Prince, longtime play-by-play guy for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think he's a Hall of Famer. But his I think it was 3 or 4 rules to broadcasting baseball were: number 1, give the score. Number 2, give the score of your 3-2 pitch. Number 3, give the score going in and out of every inning. And rule number 4 was, have you given the score? Because
such a good point.
Yeah, because that you got to remember that's why people are tuning in. They're
Now,
tuning in
was
because
this
they
was
wanna
this
watch a match. They
broadcasted or
don't
was this all radio?
This was all radio.
Yes.
So I mean, like
It's all
my-
right.
Because broad-
my
yeah, 'cause
argument
broadcast,
against
the
it
score's
is
right there.
we're on a broadcast court. I mean, if
The
you're
score's right
watching
there.
it, like just look down and see the damn score right there.
Yeah. And but what they want to hear though is they want to hear about the match. They want to hear about the strategy. Like something I've really been doing over the last probably since COVID. No, probably just before COVID with my analysts, both in football and basketball. Listeners are so savvy nowadays, right? And that's why Bernie and I, it's kind of tough being on air with Anthony Ione, right? Because Anthony, there's nothing that I'm going to possibly tell you that you're going to learn from me that you can't learn from like an Anthony Ione. But I love that. Like I really dive into my analysts' past and their backgrounds. Like I want to hear, when they say they're making adjustments on defense. Let's just use basketball, right? And they're why are they doing that? Why did they make that adjustment? And not only why, but how are they doing it? Like specifically, why is each play? What is the responsibility for each player? Because that's what people want to hear. So
Yeah.
I mean, so again, to your point of broadcasting, kind of podcasting and broadcasting at the same time, you have to know your audience because your audience wants to hear that type of background information that you guys have. Why are you doing this? Why did you I still don't understand why sometimes you flip the bag over on the sticky side. Tell me why. Seriously. And you guys have to remember this. And I plead with Trey, and with Bernie and with Anthony and everyone all the time. And it's just hard to learn, but we can't be so egotistical as to think that everybody who's listening to us knows about the sport.
Oh yeah.
We all have to remember when we're talking about the sport, every once in a while, you got to reset for the common man, right? For someone like me, for someone like my buddy from Kansas, who does not watch every day. And we have to baby step those people into the world. So don't forget about them as well.
Well, if you look at the comments on Twitter, I mean, 90% of them are, can you believe Cornhole's on ESPN? I mean, so that's the majority of the people that are tuning in are really new people who we have oftentimes you get one chance on hooking them.
Yeah.
If you can hook them in, then maybe they'll get involved.
And Jeff's so good at this because it's different. Jeff has a different experience calling these matches than I do, because Jeff is on ESPN. Jeff is on CBS. Jeff does have to worry about the common man. You guys and myself are essentially doing streaming. The only people watching are Cornhole fans.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a random sports fan find a Cornhole stream. It's just really not going to happen. My biggest problem, or was a problem when I first started doing it, and now back to Jeff's original point about being conversational, I quit worrying about how I sound.
Yep.
I hate my voice, and I think the first few times I did it, I almost kind of tried to do a different voice, kind of more like a baseball announcer, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I just kind of got rid of that and just started kind of speaking how I speak, you know, and I think that's helped because it makes it easier. When you're just talking, it's just easier. It's easier to get what you want to say out. For me, since you heard Kat and I doing it, like I had so much fun trying to get Kat not to talk cornhole. Like, you know, with Anthony, you can't do it. Anthony's coming back. No. He's going to be in the match. He's coming right back to it. But with Kat, I knew I could kind of get her to go with me on a journey as we talked about all kinds of different stuff. But there was one match, I can't remember which one it was, and it was 17-16 before we said a word about the match.
I love that. I mean, I guess maybe that's just me. I like listening to that kind of stuff because I'm watching in the background, but I'm listening to you guys, so I enjoy that kind of commentary. But that's just me.
It's me too. Honestly, like I like it all.
Oh, and Kat's great. Like she's been on the show twice
now. Yeah,
2 or 3 times. I mean, she's been on our 2 or 3 times. She's a great interview, super personable. I mean, I thought when she came on board with ACL, it was just like such a perfect fit. Like she's content team dream kind of thing over there. Yeah. So, all right. So I think we're going to move on to our favorite segment. Maybe not yours, but it's going to be our favorite. It's called Fun Random Shit. So Dane's going to fire a bunch of stuff at you. Just answer however you want to. And we'll just kind of roll off the cuff. I mean, what goes with it.
We gotta bring up the one that's most controversial. And we've brought it up on many times, but is a hot dog a sandwich?
Bernie,
man, go ahead, Jeff. I'll let you have that.
Okay, so
he's gonna really break this down. I feel it.
Yep.
Yeah. So if we define, like, I guess, Mike, if I could answer your question with a question, how are we defining a sandwich? Like, truly, what defines a sandwich?
In your heart of hearts, you know what a sandwich is. Is a hot dog one of them?
No.
Thank you.
It is, but that's all right.
Thank you.
Well, hold on.
You guys are split on this.
So hold on.
Of course we are.
I don't think of it as a sandwich. But if a Philly cheesesteak is a sandwich, then a hot dog has to be a sandwich.
Is a hoagie a
doesn't
sandwich?
Have to be. A hot dog can just be a hot dog. Like, why does it have to be like lumped in? Can't it be its own unique thing?
I mean, is a hoagie a sandwich?
It's called an Italian sausage sandwich when you get it. I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's the same GD thing, just, you know, different vehicle.
I think you hit the nail. I think you hit the nail on the head. At the end
don't
of the
agree
day,
with him,
in your heart of
Jeff.
hearts,
we were getting along.
Don't overthink it. Is it a sandwich? And I think 99% of the people would say no.
Thank you.
They say no because they're like, well, it's a hot dog. And I'd be like, yeah, like, actually give it a thought.
He's had 2 people agree with him out of everyone we've ever interviewed.
I only needed one of them. That's Matt Guy.
Matt Guy, and it was Brandon Jones. The only 2 people that thought a hot dog was a sandwich. Everyone else said no. So we're still winning. You're on the right side of
two
this.
favorite
I was trying for a second.
All right. Next up, what mythical creature do you wish actually existed?
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Do you remember the last person we asked this question to? Wally.
Do
you remember how fast
mythical
he answered this?
Creature.
Does it have to be a creature or can it be a character?
Was Pegasus?
Yeah, either one.
Was Pegasus a unicorn or was Pegasus?
Pegasus is a horse with
horse.
wings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do that. I'm going with Pegasus.
There we go.
I went.
Heck yeah.
That's
I like
specific.
it.
All right, can we broaden this to characters, or we?
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. Why not? You're a
I have
guest,
an
so you can do whatever you want.
I have a very unhealthy fascination with Darth Vader. I wish he existed.
Who?
I respect it.
Yes.
I respect it.
I love.
We could
I'm
use
the
his
biggest
birth
Star
name,
Wars
Anakin.
geek.
Thank you. All right.
Yes, I love it. You talk about someone with a story. Oh my god, come on,
Dude,
Oh,
I should have.
it's
I was
like
gonna
messed
wear
up,
my
right?
Star Wars hat for this episode too. Now I'm upset I didn't.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
yes.
Wait a minute.
Have you
We
been?
get
Have you
go
been to the new Star
Wars?
Wars world at Disney?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's
Yes,
phenomenal.
it's awesome.
Oh, if you
It's
haven't-
incredible.
what? Oh, it's phenomenal. It's well worth it.
Dude, for a Star Wars fan, I will tell you.
And make sure you go to
100%.
the cantina. And
Oh, yeah.
So they'll tell you can only be there for 45 minutes. The trick is if you keep ordering drinks, they don't kick
They
you
won't
out.
kick you out.
So
Yeah.
we stayed
I
there
was there
for
all day,
3
man.
hours. So
Yeah, I was there all day.
it's
Yeah,
great.
It was,
I
it was
love
a
the best thing
blast.
ever.
I love.
No, it's
I
a
love
funny
that.
little tidbit with that is Dane, with the last time we answered that question was when Wally was actually a guest on our show. He asked a question. We could barely finish the question. He already knew his answer. It's unicorns.
Yep.
Like it was like he
I
was
didn't
like
even
been thinking
finish.
about
It was
this
like
all day.
unicorns. I'm like, right
Okay.
off the rip.
Good.
All right. What's the funniest joke you know by heart?
Ooh.
Oh man, I suck at
3 strings walk into a bar. I can't. It's too long of a joke, but it's a 3 strings.
Okay. All right. I got you.
I mean, it would take 15 minutes to tell a joke.
Okay.
All right, 3 strings walk. I can't tell this joke. It'll take seriously way too much time.
Fair enough. It's all right. Well,
It-
So we know
it-
one.
it'll
everybody
take way
use your
too much time.
imagination. It's
Dude,
hilarious.
everyone has to go to sleep at some point. So yeah, we're not. I can't do the 3 strings joke.
Do limericks count as jokes?
Yeah,
Yeah, if they're funny.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was wondering. Jeff, what about you? Do you have one?
No. See,
I'll
Albert,
tell you-
Absolutely not.
That's my joke. I suck at jokes. I don't.
The
I don't ever
deadpan.
remember-
No, I like it.
I'll tell you my favorite like
I have so much just useless just shit in my head with just names and numbers and bio and stories. I don't know why I can never remember a joke. I
there's
just
no
can't.
room for
I'm with you.
jokes.
I'm kind of with you.
No
See, and
room.
I forget about all the important
The sad
things and I
life.
remember funny stuff.
He knows like movie quotes.
Yes.
like,
yeah, and then like
jokes.
music
with
lyrics.
it.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
That's awesome.
But I think my all-time favorite PG-13 joke, just so we can't like get cut off air, but it's why is Barbie never pregnant?
Why?
Because Ken never came in her box.
That's
Wow.
a good one.
Wow.
And that's PG-13. I mean, only imagine where it goes from there.
Is it?
For me, yeah, it is.
That's borderline R right there.
It might be
That
X.
might
No
take
swear
you to an
words.
R rating.
No swear words. So I mean,
And this is the uncle to my 2 children.
Yep.
So just wanna,
I may be
Remind the
teaching
folks.
his youngest these jokes, and it'll be a lot of fun.
I'm sure.
Soon.
All right,
Last one.
last one. It's actually one that I like hearing everyone's answer on. It's what outdoor activity do you think you would enjoy doing but have not tried yet?
Oh, jeez.
Huh. That's a man. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm gonna have to think about it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I got it.
There's several I can think of. Go ahead. You go first.
Surfing. I've actually never tried to surf.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a
that
good
seems
one.
like cool.
I think it'd be cool.
I don't think I could do it, but
I have
too
friends that
fat.
have done it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've boogie boarded and all that stuff, but I've never surfed.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna change I was thinking like hang gliding because that just looks like it just would be amazing to do.
It would be.
But here in Charleston off the coast, we get these guys who kite surf, and these
Yeah.
gues, they actually have the kite that
Dude, it's
they're pulling,
crazy.
and they hit the waves and they go 15,
Yeah,
20 feet
that
up in the
stuff's
air.
insane.
I would love to get into that. Would love.
It's cool enough watching them just glide across the water, but then they start
Yes.
doing tricks
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff. Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that was a
Yeah,
thing.
it's money.
Yeah, I would
It's
get like a
so good.
foot off the ground and think I was like the man doing it,
I know.
and then instantly crash my face. Sean,
Yeah.
what about you?
I would do that, and then I would drown.
I mean, maybe. Honestly, so I think surfing would be awesome. I don't think I could physically do it anymore.
I mean, there's longboards. Just get like a 25-foot long
Yeah,
board.
something like
Yeah.
that.
There you go. You
Yeah.
can stand up on that. Like mine, both like it's a crippling fear that I'd like to overcome, but it's because I'm fat that I won't try it. But it's bungee jumping is number one. The other one's like that flying squirrel suit. I feel like if I was throwing that bitch out and try to
that
jump
is
off a
awesome.
cliff, I would just
Yes.
like smash right into the side.
That is-
I don't think they make them wide enough for me, but
Yeah, that is insane.
you know,
I guess I
Fat
should
Boy
say
can dream.
skydiving. I've always wanted to go skydiving. I just haven't done it
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, skydiving would be awesome too.
Figure if I'm gonna go,
But again, like that parachute's got to be able. I got to see the rating for that parachute for my weight before I jump off. Like I better see like a 500 plus on that bitch. Otherwise,
I mean, it's to the point where if we go to
no.
like we've gone Grandview Park in West Virginia and they do the zip lining course and they're like looking at us. We're like,
Oh, dude, we went zip lining and there was like an epic finish one that you just like rip through. Do you remember how fast I was hauling ass through that
yeah.
thing? And like they're like, you got to sit up to slow down. I'm like, I sat up the whole time, dude. These guys, like, I saw the fear of Jesus in somebody's eyes for the first time when I came, and there's a guy standing there to stop me. He's maybe 120 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah.
And I'm like 270 just hauling ass on the zip line. Dude, I mean, the look in his face when I got close to him and like we made eye contact, he literally did like the old Olay.
Yeah.
And like just let me hit the bumpers. Like my shoes flipped off. I stopped so fast. Luckily they stayed in the canopy, so I didn't have to walk down shoeless. But yeah, fun little fact about zip lining. Don't be fat.
We haven't been back since.
Yeah, I haven't been back since.
From that. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us. I've been wanting to have you guys on for a while. I greatly enjoy your guys' podcast. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, definitely check out Boarderline. You guys are on everything, I think, right? Apple, Spotify, all that fun stuff.
Right, yep.
Really entertaining stuff. I mean, you guys have a great dynamic together. It's a little bit of cornhole, a whole lot of other extra stuff, which is like really entertaining. So it fits right in my wheelhouse. I love it. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you go check out Boarderline Podcast. You know, I thank you guys again for taking some time out of your night. I know you guys are crazy busy and everything for joining us.
It's been awesome.
Had some fun and thanks. And so hopefully, Jeff, you're able to go to bed at a decent time before you got all your important stuff to do tomorrow. I just have to go see patients and stuff. They'll be fine. They're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? So, but
I put out my one fire that like I did not need to make a phone call for, but everyone seems to text.
The trick is I never schedule. We always record on Tuesdays. I never schedule a patient at 8:00 on Wednesdays. Like my assistants just kind of know, like, just don't put anyone there. Like, just start a next one down.
Perfect.
So,
Hey, thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah.
Seriously, great to meet you
Awesome.
guys, and hope to meet you guys in person down the road too.
So we'll let the folks go at home, and we'll have you guys hang on just for a minute. But as always, we hope you throw it straight. And it's nothing but four baggers from here on out.
Cornhole it.
Later.